All right. So we on big.
Yeah, we on, man. Go ahead and start it off.
All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to this live. It's part 4 of the Black man's role in America. Of course, we have some more different guests on tonight. And
barely on there.
Start off, as I always do with my disclaimer. Everything that you hear on here is strictly our opinions. Please don't believe anything that you hear. Whatever you hear, take it. Go research it. Find it out for yourself. Find your own truth. Find your own way. Come back. Let's discuss it. And let's move forward with it. Again, I'm Jerome. Brother Brian, I'm going to kick it to you and let you introduce the guests.
All right, so this is Brother Brian, aka Silverback. Yo, this is gonna be another powerful broadcast that we got. I got some more brothers that want to jump on, and then they want to continue building. I like this segment that we're doing because I'm getting a lot of advice, because I do take this in. I take this in and I take it seriously. Of the stuff that we're doing, and today, and first of all, I want to do like the disclaimer: everything that we're doing, we're only giving our opinions. Please don't take offense if this is offensive. We're not trying to offend anybody, but we just being us. Today, I got my cousin, my big cousin, my big homie, Rex Edrington. I got him on. Go ahead, Rex. Tell everybody who you are, man.
Yeah, my name is Rex T. Edrington. I am coming to you from Massachusetts, the great Bay State of Massachusetts. I'm here to vibe with these fellow brothers, learn as much as I can from them.
All right. The other one, I got another brother that I call my brother. Actually, one of my first brothers that I met when I got into Gaffney back in when I turned like 12 years old, when I moved to Gaffney from Florida, is this my big brother. I call him my big brother, and that's all it is. I'm not friends. He's my brother, Mr. Dennis Brown. Tell everybody who you are, man.
What's up? I'm Dennis Brown, aka everybody in Gaffney call me Stank. That's my nickname. It's still stuck with me every time I go home. Just on here because I've been looking at the podcast that Brian and Jerome been setting up and doing like every week or so. I've been paying attention to it, been listening to it, and it's some good information that I take in, and then other people that's on there, and I take it all in, and most of that stuff that you're talking about, I can relate to.
That's what's up.
All right. And this brother right here, Mr. Turner, Mr. Marvin Turner, is my, other than Jerome, is my other go-to guy that's really, really been around, that's been helping me through this journey, through this passage that I've been. He's actually, a very good mentor. And I appreciate him, dude. I appreciate him so much. And this is my big brother, my little brother, Mr. Marvin Turner. What's going on, man?
What's up? I was about to say, I ain't your big brother. In size or age, I ain't your big brother. No, my name is Marvin Turner. Just a brother. That's all.
So, all right, y'all. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. So, all right. let's see, who wants to start it off first? Who wants to start off this first with this? What is the black man's role in America? Go ahead, Marvin. Go ahead, jump in. I know you want to.
I want to say this. I don't know where everybody stands, so like I'm pretty well versed in history, just general history, not just any particular sect of history. So where I'm at right now, I'm just saying this because
I know you're not getting no more popcorn.
I'm not necessarily like a I don't want to like let people down. Like some people, I'm not like pro-black anymore. If that makes any sense.
All right.
Like I'm pro-black, but I realize that I really do realize from my history that everybody's black. So this is us doing it to us.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want me to talk from there? Because it's going to sound different. Or do you want me to talk from where we're at in society 2020? Because it's a different conversation, real talk. It's one thing to tell a person, you know, like this is all energy and blah, 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 versus listen, this is the situation you're in right here, and this is how people see you.
Yeah.
This is how you got to move versus what you got to do for your soul. So what y'all want, which way we want to go?
All right, I asked, so let's go with today, present. Let's go with the present, and then we work our way back.
So where we at to where we're at today,
Yes.
and the way people view each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Word.
Oh, I thought you was gonna go in.
No, I just wanted to
I got
put
you.
that out there because there's a difference. It really is.
I feel you. All right. Go ahead, Rex. Go ahead, Rex. Jump in. What's your stake on this?
Well, where we are today as black people, and it didn't just start today, but it's really come to a head is we really don't like each other. We, you know, not everybody is on the same page. We act as if we need a leader.
We'll see you guys Tuesday.
When we aren't ready to follow a subsequent leader.
You guys have a good workout.
Okay. We all want to be individuals, but we want to always teeter over into somebody else's personal space. Violation, if you will. But we are so selfish as a people, in my opinion, that we can no longer mentor or check someone else's young man or young woman when they're out of pocket, when you see them out in the street, which could possibly save their life. Granted, we've been there for a while, but today it is a bit extreme, whereas you get out of pocket with somebody that's out of pocket, you're trying to really square them away, they'll come back and probably take your life. And all you were trying to do was give them appropriate guidance to prevent the next man from taking their life. You know?
Right.
I mean,
Go ahead, Jerome.
it evolves from, you know,
Oh, my bad.
I can go ahead, Jerome. Sorry, man. I can ramble.
No.
I thought you stopped. My bad. I thought you had stopped. That's what I said.
No.
No, go ahead, Jerome. I mean, I don't want to go too long without people.
No.
Oh no,
You
fine.
gotta do
You're
that.
fine. If Brother Stank can get in there.
Go ahead, Stank.
Today's role for a black man, I think for today's role for a black man is it's kind of in between. What I'm thinking is in between of success and failure. It's like that middle piece of do we want to go be great and succeed, or do we stay where we at and just live day by day and not elevate ourselves or, to that level, to succeed? That's what I think. And we're in the middle, we're stuck, like you said the other day, like being from Gaffney, you if you don't leave when you graduate high school, you're going to be stuck, because you're going to be stuck in that realm of everyday living, like just getting a job at the local plant or whatever, not really elevating yourself because you don't have nobody to push you to elevate yourself. So the role of a Black man is like in between. It's like a balancing act. Do we want to succeed, or do you just want to stay where you're at? That's my take.
Okay. Go ahead, Jerome.
Oh man, I was loving to hear the brothers speak. I'm gonna let Marvin get back in, but from what I heard, what I'm just listening to, I see we have a lack of mentorship in the Black community. Because both of the brothers were talking about, one was talking about individuality, one was talking about being caught in between as not understanding what to do, where to be, how to be. So as leaders, as ancients, as elders, as mentors, I think there's a missing in between. That's what's missing in between where you need to be and where you're at. But I want Marvin to get on in.
Oh, King Tut done joined us tonight.
It's Ted in the house.
Ted in the house right now.
Peace, brothers. Peace, brothers.
What's
Peace.
up,
How
my
y'all
brother?
doing?
What's up, my brother?
Peace.
Peace.
Go ahead,
How-
Marvin. We ain't want to stop. Go ahead, Marvin. Jump in.
Yeah. Let
I
Marvin get in.
kind of just second what Jerome was saying, for real. Like how when Rex was talking about, that having that wisdom and also that infrastructure, you know what I'm saying? It's like just a group of individuals, and then you tell somebody something, they'll be quick to tell you, hey, that's an opinion, and yours is the same as mine. So at the end of the day, if it was martial arts, a person that told Bruce Lee, what the hell do you know? My opinion is as good as yours. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? You know what I mean? What do you? So when the conversation becomes so subjective, when it becomes so subjective, there's really nothing you can talk about, because they're talking about how they feel ultimately. They're not talking about what you're trying to do. Like if you was to, just using an example, like if Bruce Lee was to say, hey, this is why you do this. We do this way. Somebody who's a mastery in his field, you can literally, if you're going off of how you feel, not talking about what you're trying to objectively achieve, you can tell him what makes your opinion greater than mine.
Right.
And then you can sit there and do nothing, because when it comes to opinions, you don't have to prove anything. And I think that's why a lot of times people get comfortable in subjectivity, because you don't have to do anything. You understand what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. When Rex was talking, that's how I look at it. So you can be an OG, like a man of wisdom. You got life on. You got some life up under you, and you can come to a young man and you can say, hey, I see, it's like you in the gym. You see somebody, Brian, you see somebody in the gym, they doing squats, they better snap they back up. You like, you might want to change your form up a little. You don't hurt yourself. Man, I know what I'm doing. You just gotta let them go. So.
Yeah.
Good
Go
talk.
ahead, Rick.
Let Tut, let's get that Tut in.
Tut, you know, I forgot to tell us in it. Come on, Tut.
Y'all gotta put me in on the question yet. I was listening to the brother divulge some information there, but I'm not clear on the question. I apologize, Mark. No, but he was
We just started.
information about it seemed to me like structure. So what was the question?
Give him the question, B.
Oh, the question. I mean, that was due. We just started, and the first question was, what is the black man's role in present day society? Because Marvin wanted to be specific. He didn't want to go into history. He wanted to be specific. But which is no problem. But at the same time, hey, I mean, he wants structure, we're gonna give structure. So what is our role in today's society? Well, what's supposed to be our role? How about that?
The black man's role in society today. Okay. My point of view on that, the black man's point of view. So let's first of all, let's look at the root of man. So a man has to be able to, stand up for himself and know, man is knowledge, so man must gain knowledge. You gain this information, you become a man by your experiences. So first off, the role of man should be understanding man, first of all. Once the black man here in America this day, once you understand the man's role, and you then bounce to your family, whether it's creating a family, it's more productive to create a family of your own. We all were raised up, your family is already built. So trying to convince your family members, eventually your family members they're gonna support you regardless anyway. But just cause your family might not, see the way you see or something like that, your first, after you become man, understand man, then you should go to family, whether you're creating your own family or taking care of the family, extended family, whatever. Then black man's role after family comes to his community, because where you live is a key point into how the future is, and how you controlling where you live. So the black man's role today should be, once he gets stability in himself, then he's able to sustain his family. Then he incorporates his community to have the influence from his family, from the community, to have that same influence, and the community should be producing a unified understanding, of objective of what we want to create, what we're molding here. You know what I'm saying? Me and a few brothers here, in my hood, we putting together something, man. I want to create some kind of event for the little youth around here, but the black man's role, like I said, is himself. Understand himself is first of all, because you can't do nothing without self. So if you don't understand yourself, you defeating the purpose in helping anybody else. So and I think this way of life is ancient. This is the role of man. This is man's evolution. you learn yourself, you protect yourself and guide yourself. Then you learn how to control a family and have a family. Then you get to the community, and then you want to grow there. That community can influence other communities, and it spreads from there. So that's my opinion on it.
I mean, that's essentially. I mean, once you know yourself, right? That's ultimately the way you're able to continue, basically expanding on that, and you're gonna apply all those same things you learned, what it took for you to know yourself. That's what you're gonna do the same thing over and over again. So, like for instance, when I go through my experience or trials and tribulations or love or whatever, we can get together. We can talk. You got a lady, you ever been in love? We can relate to each other. As so long as I actually went through this. So like you're saying, if you actually go into the situation and you say, well, who am I? You say, who am I? You think about the things you can do. And if you go through that process and then you talk to another individual, and let's say you know, because that takes years. Y'all know that takes years. It takes time, and then once you get to a certain level of consciousness, you actually talk to other people. You come out and y'all can connect. You start to recognize them, even though you don't have to know them. You can speak a different language. Y'all can be from different cultures. But at the end of the day, we, like you said, we man. So as long as you a man, you should be able to identify with another man.
Right.
Yep. And but myself, I mean, we're all born individuals. Okay. And when I was in the military, I used to view myself as not a spokesperson for a black man, but a representation of a black man.
Right.
So I carried myself accordingly. I said, I want them to view me, regardless if it's another ethnicity or the same ethnicity, view me as a positive black man that's carrying himself a certain way. Okay, so when I greet you, I want you to, when I leave, I want you to say, man, that dude right there was, he was up front, he spoke nice, he was knowledgeable, he wasn't full of himself. Because, we can get mad, arrogant, and think that, hey, as soon as you walk in the club, everybody's looking at me. In actuality, nobody's looking at your ass. Okay? But see, you're so full of yourself, you don't realize that, hey, I'm just an individual. Fit in and carry yourself accordingly, and to Marvin's point regarding correcting someone abusing their physical fitness, how I like to say I mastered that art. I watch people do things. I speak to people, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. What's up, big fella, what have you. You could be 2 feet tall. I'll call him big fella, make him feel good. Compliment him. And when I see him in the gym every day, I say, what's up to him, give him a little fist bump because I have my headphones on and I'm in a zone. But I do that every day. So when you speak to people like that and give them that 2 or 3 seconds worth of attention, it goes a long way.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because you uplifted them just like that. So when I go to correct them, they receive it because they've seen me in there consistently. Right. And they see me greeting other people. The gym that I hadn't been going to because I'm a changed jobs, man, I got white people, Asians, blacks, Latins, you name it, calling me because they miss me, bro. They miss the energy that I brought them.
Right.
Because, and it all started with, a fist bump. I'm not in there glad handing like I'm at a damn barbecue or anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm just representing myself as a black man, and that's my responsibility
Right.
as a black man, creating positive vibes. Not thinking that I know everything, because I don't.
Hey yo, you don't mind, Rex? Rex, you don't mind if I add on to that just for right quick though?
By all means.
Yeah. To expound on that a little here, you'd be amazed how much a smile goes a long way.
Yeah.
You know, people see you smile, you know, makes them feel good, makes them give a smile, you know, and everybody, you know, I love to make people laugh. Now, I'm a clown. I apologize, you know, I clown. I like to hear people's different laugh. You know, everybody has a unique laugh of their own. And I like to hear people. I like to make people laugh, but and people like to see me because I live every moment, you know, like it's my last. I'm gonna die with a smile on my face. You know, I'm gonna die laughing. You know, y'all cover my funeral, don't cry. You know, it's a party. But that's one thing I want to reiterate. That's very vital. You know, you carry yourself. You give that smile off, it goes a long way, because a lot of people go through certain things in their lives, and that smile can uplift them too. You know, it can bring them out of the shell or depressed feeling or whatever they're going through. It can bring them out too, and it makes them see things a lot better themselves.
It broke my head.
Right. Stank.
What's up?
Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
I'll let me.
Okay. One thing I wanted to share with y'all, probably Brian or Rex, y'all probably don't even know this about me, but since being in the military, and then I retired last year, so I think one of the roles that black men, if we have suffered something like in our past as kids and stuff like that, I think what helps is therapy, professional therapy. I have since been going to therapy for a while now, and it has helped me tremendously with because I got PTSD, I got anxiety, I got depression. So, and I go to therapy on a regular, and it really helps, because what you don't want is something to happen to you, somebody say something to you, then you just explode on your family members or your friends or whatever, and then you come back and say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But you have to recognize things, and you have to recognize what's in you and what's in your mind, so you can get help as black men. Because a lot of times growing up, you know, we didn't seek no help or talk to anybody like that about things that bothered us or that went on in our lives or happened at school. I think as black men, we all need to just see somebody, like maybe once a month, somebody just to talk about things and get things out, because you won't be healthy, because all that stuff can cause health problems if you have it bottled in, and that way your family will recognize it, you know. Then you can easily talk to anybody about, you know, whatever problems they're having, because you can relate to it. So as black men, I think we all need to seek some therapy or some kind of therapy to talk, either your pastor, a minister, or professional therapist.
Yeah. Hey, I do agree with that. I agree with that. You know, as to the fashion, to even having these group sessions here, you know, having someone to talk to, you know what I'm saying, recognizing situations amongst each other, you know, having someone to talk to is very vital, because, you know, in the black culture, lot of stuff we tend to keep inside and, and just deal with it. And, your brain is like a CD, and tragic events and things that happen, that's like a scratch on that CD, So if that CD playing every day you living, that scratch, that event that you've been through, sometimes, everybody's brain don't operate the same. Sometimes people can't get, how a CD keeps skipping it. You have to go tap it or something, you know what I'm saying? And see, that's what having somebody to talk to, that's what helped get it off that skip, and help your CD to play better, so a lot of times we have these issues and situations we're dealing with, and we don't deal with them properly, and they create a deeper scratch. Some of them can be so deep the way that CD don't even play right no more, period.
True that. B.
I got two things I want to throw on this and add to this. Therapy is, because I am also a veteran who's dealing with post-traumatic stress, and I'm also dealing with depression. So yes, I do go to the VA therapist, but this platform is actually therapy for me too. Also, one key point that Marvin made, and basically everybody else is making, was know thyself, know who you are. And I can contest that I was a person that was lost, and my brother Marvin was somebody that literally pulled this what you see out. This is something that I didn't see myself being. I didn't see myself going. This wasn't the direction that I was pushing myself to. But I had somebody at work that challenged me, and it was challenging me mentally. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand, is having somebody that's there that's going to push you to another level. Not only that, I actually had Jerome that's outside of work that I can talk to, that was actually pushing me. But there's somebody that on a daily basis that I actually was in contact with is Marvin. And the knowledge that he was giving me, and I'm actually appreciate that he on the day, because it's kind of like he passed the torch to me, and I'm kind of, I mean, I feel good because, for somebody who just started, I mean, I'm still young in this, in this whole mind opening thing, but at the same time, I found out who I am. And then this platform is an extension of just me, Jerome, and Tuck, the three-headed monster. But at the same time, this is therapy, because I'm taking in everybody's ideas and I'm applying them to my life. So this is why I like to have this session. I feel like this is why this is important. Not only is it helping others, I'm being selfish. I'm saying this is helping me. I'm doing this for me, but it's actually, it builds, because if I'm good, everything else around me. So if I'm in a good place, that means my family's gonna be in a good place. That means everybody that's in contact with me is gonna be in a good place. And that's something that I think that's something that a lot of people are in fear of, is being who they need to be. Just be yourself. A lot of people want to be what everybody else want to be, or you want to put yourself in the position to be something that you're not, or what you're not supposed to be. And then when you fall, you don't get back up. You take that as failure. And you thinking like, I'm not going to try that again. So I'm going to say it again. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you, Jerome. And then I got Tut that like to beat up on me now, because see what I'm saying?
No,
But at the same time, though, it's that energy that he brings that I respect. And that's a lot of things that are people is I respect brothers who literally come on and they just be themselves. And I appreciate y'all just doing it. So I'm about out and I'm done.
Hey, now I
Go
want
ahead.
to add something. I want to add something to that, man. And I was just building with some brothers earlier. That's one thing important too. You know, my man, one of my down across the street. You know, what he is big on about his son living up to his name. You know, and that's something big too. You know, I think we should have in our community. It's from our culture, but I think we need to incorporate. You know, and you know, if you ain't got it in your family and your community, you know, that way a child, even your name should be something to live up to. You know, your own name, your personal name, what people call you, your family name, your first or last name. But there should be, you know, a statute and a standard to live up to and carry, you know, and that's very vital. And you have a person, it builds their self-efficacy to where they can be themselves and have something like a royal bloodline to know that they carry something, you know, very genuine, you know. But that's really big and important, you know, having a child or having a family that has something to live up to, a name, the whole weight, you know, and wanting to leave that impression, you know.
Yeah. Hey, I'm listening to everybody. I'm gonna let you get in, Rex. I'm listening to everybody, and I'm trying to piece together all the similarities in what y'all are talking about, even though they're from different perspectives. One of the things that I always talk about that our community is missing is a rite of passage, right? As a rite of passage, you see in a lot of cultures, and that would eliminate when you go to give advice to a young man. You know, would he accept it or would he not? If you had a system of a rite of passage, not to make everybody into the same thing, but to have a system of guidance, to have a system of passing knowledge down from one place to another. As Tut talked about the importance of name, you know, in that rite of passage, the importance of living up to a standard that we pass down from generation to generation. And I always had to bring back the three sciences that are never taught in our community because they were forbidden. We have to have the science of military thinking. We have to have the science of business. We have to have the science of relationship. Marvin had mentioned relationship earlier. There's a science to the relationship, not just with your partner, but with your family, with your community, with the world. And these sciences need to be brought back into our community. That's business, that's military, that's relationship. And we need a rite of passage, something that a standard or infrastructure, as Marvin mentioned, an infrastructure that is inside of our community that helps build stronger men, that helps build stronger women, it helps build stronger communities. But I'm gonna let Rex get back in, and you know I'll jump in.
But one thing that I pride myself in is building relationships with complete strangers. Okay, I divest myself of my hobbies, my life, my what I love to do, etc. And I let you tell me what you like to do. Then I mold our conversation around what interests you. And before long, you're smiling because you're divesting yourself of what you like to do, and you're sharing it with me. And I'm learning on the fly, but you're talking about and you're smiling. We're both having a great conversation. I may not add a whole heck of a lot then because I'm learning about you. I want to know what makes you tick. You know, because I'm an IT professional. So in order for me to fix a problem, you got to tell me what's wrong with it. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that I haven't allowed a user to take me down a rabbit hole, and the answer was right there before we went down that hole. Okay, and we went deep in that hole too, and I was mad at myself because I allowed it to happen because the listening kind of took over what I came in to do. Okay, and in the workspace, I'm normally the only black man in that place. And I don't ever compromise my character or integrity. I'm not walking around and like, hey, yeah, my name's Child. How you doing? My name's Ben. No. You're gonna mirror my personality long before I begin to mirror yours. I mean, I'm not gonna be, Mr. Hood or anything like that when I'm up in. I'm gonna conduct myself professionally because then again, I go back to the representation of a black man. So my responsibility is to try to give someone a little insight on how I was raised. So when I go speak to these young men or young women of color, normally it's sports because I coach, I treat them with respect and love, and they know that I care about them. And 10 years later, they may grow to be 6 feet, 6'10", and they become pro basketball players. But when they see me, they're still that 12-year-old kid, and they're super successful. But I laid that foundation of respect, attitude, and academics, and representing yourself and being confident in yourself. So wherever they are on the planet, they're going to be by themselves. We told them, you're going to, wherever you go off to college or what have you, you're going to be around people that you've never met before. So how are you going to represent yourself? Are you going to be, they're going to say, man, those people from Boston are crazy as hell. Or are you going to be like, man, I need to go visit people, visit Boston if they're sending people out in the world like that. So that is a responsibility that I will continue to bear the cross and try to churn out more generations of positivity and being good citizens. Because if you're a good citizen, when you come home, you're going to be a good sibling, you're going to be a good spouse, and when you go to work, you're going to be a good co-worker, and you're going to be a good friend. All of that stuff encompasses one another. But if you're not willing to listen and learn from others and be positive and have confidence in yourself, then hey, stupidity has its rewards.
True that.
Hey,
Mark, Tut has a question. We let Marvin get back in. Go ahead with your question, Tut.
no. I want Marvin. Is Marvin going to chime in? Let him go and chime in, or would he like to divulge into this question I got?
My man Rex, yo, I like some of the things you be saying. But first, Brian, yo, I appreciate, all the words. But at the end of the day, you came seeking. I ain't come preach to you, so you was already, your conscience was already ripe for it. You know what I mean? So you can't. I appreciate it, but you really can't give me nothing. I was just sharing, like Tut was saying, like when you know about yourself or whatever, it's kind of like it's like money or anything. Like if you have it, once you have it, you have an abundance. It's really love. You know what I'm saying? We love expressed, different, not really expressed differently. It's the same, but it comes in different forms, should I say. So when you have it in abundance, you just give it out freely. You don't hoard it. You know what I mean? So you was already doing what you had to do. You know what I mean? But as far as like what Rex was saying, it's crazy because when you get into like society, yo, I'm on Cassius. I'm on a call right now. Sorry, my son.
No, yo.
But
Peace to the seed.
no.
Peace to the seed.
When you deal with a person, right, and he hasn't wanted to himself, right? So maybe he learned about himself through the eyes of his society, right? Let's say that's what he did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to get into like a female, doesn't matter the race, a female, a male in America, they historically the problem we've been going through, let's say we, is because we live in a society that was created in the mind of a European. It'd be like if you could lock somebody up in your house and you change everything about existence to your like they're subject to your mind, and it's supposed to be an even playing ground, like objectively, right? There really ain't, like, there's a lot of ways to make you can use a lot of materials to build a house, but they're going to have a lot of the same properties. Like, you're not going to make a house out of, paper. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the material has to have certain properties within it to make the house. So when people say, like, there's a lot of things, you can do things in a lot of ways, or there's more than one way to skin a cat. Yeah, but whatever object you use better be sharp. It's going to have the same properties, is what I'm saying. Objectively speaking, when you're talking about doing something or going somewhere, there's going to be, you can go somewhere a lot of ways, yeah, but there's going to be a more efficient way of doing something, okay? Because we're talking about objectivity. Everybody coming in the house right now. I'm gonna have to mute this joint, and so Tut, you ask your question. I'm gonna put you on everybody talking.
Yeah. I want to pose this question. We're talking about the black man's role here in America, and I want to pose this question. I want to get everybody's point of view on this, because I think this is very vital point of view, because we are created in the image of perfection, and I want to view everyone's idea of perfection. I mean, I expound on it for myself first. Like I said, we are created in perfection, so we should have a standard of perfection. And we don't really understand perfection a lot of times. If you fall, that's a perfect fall. You make a mistake, that's a perfect mistake. So in the world of perfection, I want to hear everybody's point of view on perfection. Do they think it's achievable, or do they think nobody's perfect?
Yeah, well, I can tell you for sure that it is, because objectively speaking, just because you don't know all the circumstances or everything that went into place to make that happen doesn't mean that it. You understand what I'm saying? That the way that physics works, everything is perfect. Everything, cause and effect, it's exact every single time. Now, it's us to set our mind to that. You understand what I'm saying? If you keep thinking life is the way that you think it should be, those is called beliefs, and that's called subjectivity. You understand? Like if you go all the way back, way BC times, the African people, or let's say the humans, because everybody was human, you had people that had different beliefs. Let's get that understood. You had some people that was actually civilized, and they already traveled the world. And when they was civilizing people, check this out. They wasn't conquering people. They wasn't even giving them like crazy technology. Right. They was teaching them about themselves in relation to the world that they lived in.
Right.
Then you had a group of people that was talking about, I'm gonna civilize you, but what that meant was you're gonna be subject to my views. That's what that meant. I'm gonna make you like me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's the difference, to answer your question.
Go ahead, Dennis. Jump in there.
Stang.
Come on, you ain't gonna sit down on the sideline, man. Get in this game, man.
I'm just listening to everybody. I'm just listening to everybody. The role of Black men in America. I think the role of Black man in America is to be a role model for his kids, his community, his family, just everyday living that, you know, you're able to succeed, because your kids look at, like, for being a father, your kids look at you from the time they're little up until, you know, you get older. They look at you. They want to know, what are you doing? How do you do this? How you get here? You know, how you make this money? How you get this money? What levels what levels you can get at? They looking and they taking it all in. So we have to be that positive role model for them, and not let them see the negativity that goes on in the world. You know, we can't always respond to all the negativity that goes on. For instance, with the thing that happened in Georgia, other things that happen with other Black males, you know, with the police and stuff like that. We can't let them see that negativity, that hurt that's inside of us because of these things that happen. We gotta be positive and keep going, so that they'll know that this is how we deal with stuff like this. So we just can't do that.
If I may jump in real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead and answer that question for Tuck.
Yeah. I want to hear y'all version of perfection. I want to hear y'all version of perfection.
You know, my version of perfection is, think I'll get to you real quick too. My version of perfection is what is working successfully. What the success of a project, you know, like, say for example, man, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything gigantic. I mean, my wife and I we'll cut our lawn, and we got an imperfect yard in the back, but we'll cut it, and I may not be able to get to certain spots, or she may not be able to get to certain spots, but when we finish cutting it, we worked on it together, our lawn looks perfect. We were successful in cutting our grass because it looked better than it did. You know what I'm saying? And it would pass an inspection if it were to be an inspection. You know, I mean, it could be, but then you build upon that. Little things like that breeds a culture, because you get used to doing things the right way. You have a goal in mind, and how are you going to get to that goal? Like I can build a network. I know there's certain numbers that I need to get through that portal, but there's a start. There's a foundation where I start from. I can't start in the middle and try to get to the end, because everything before the middle is not communicating with the other side of that middle. Okay, so I start from here. I get all the IP addresses in order. And when I'm talking to someone on the other side of the street that didn't know I was supposed to be talking to them, I built my network to perfection, because I had all the ones and zeros lined up appropriately. You know, and that's what I consider perfection. When you set out to achieve something and it's successful and you achieved it the right way, you didn't cut in the corners, you know, and you weren't disobedient or dishonest towards someone. But to what extent, I don't know if that was reasonable enough for you, Tut, but
Hey, that's peace. That's peace.
But Stank, man, regarding the black man's role, we need to be more objective. To what Marvin was saying, we will perpetuate things, man, and put it all on the internet, man, because like we don't like President Trump. I'll use him as an example. It's a fallacy out there, and we'll perpetuate fallacies. Our community will. We will run with it. Like it's a quote out there in People magazine saying that he said if he were to run for president, he'd run as a Republican because all the Republican voters are dumb. In actuality, he did not say that. We could dislike him, but that don't mean the truth is already, you know, his truth is not our truth. He didn't say that. That don't change the way you feel about him, but that don't make the man out of a liar. He does that well enough on his own. But don't perpetuate that lie.
Right.
You know, we have to learn to look at things more than one way. Regardless if I say it or whatever, research it, fact check it. Make sure that it's actually the truth. So, oh man, Rex said that. Don't take what I say as gospel. Research it for yourself, and instead of generalizing, you know, narrowing your vision, you know, open up your mind and say, oh man, you know, I can't let Rex go out here being wrong. I will pull him to the side. I'm not gonna correct him all out in front of people where I have to hurt his pride, you know, and then he gets defensive and he won't want to hear anything I have to say. So I'll pull him to the side or I'll call him and I'll say, yo, you know, this is where you can find what I'm getting ready to tell you. Not just say, hey, no, that's not the way it is without giving them a source. You know,
Right.
case in point, the brother that got killed in Gaffney last week.
Yeah.
He started Black Lives Matter in South Carolina. He's a frat brother of mine. And several years ago, I saw him all on Facebook, you know, being all ignorant. And I inboxed him. I said, give me a call. And I told him, I said, hey, you're part of this fraternity. You took the same obligation that I took. And that's where I took him to. I took him to the same obligation. I didn't take him to Rex's opinion. So you swore to conduct yourself like this. Okay? In front of the public eye. All right? And right now, I'm administering wise counsel to you because I don't feel like you're conducting yourself that way. I took him to not something Rex wrote. I took him to something that he took an oath on himself. And from then on, he started to mold himself differently, man. He had a kid, man. He had a steady job, man. He was really doing the man thing, man. And you know, unfortunately, his life got cut short, but he was willing to accept wise counsel by the way I approached him. So in my opinion, the black man's responsibility is to, my opinion, know how to approach your fellow brother, whether he be older or younger, when he's wrong or out of line without making him feel uncomfortable when you know he's wrong as hell, and he may not know that he's wrong. Let him divest himself of that poison, and you pull him to the side afterwards and say, you know, I think you probably could handle that differently.
Right. Come on, B.
Tut,
Give it to me,
Tut.
B.
Tut,
Come on, B.
Give it to me, B.
perfection. Respect. And when I say respect, I mean respecting one another, respecting nature, and also understanding nature. Be open-minded to let nature and let the universe actually become one with the universe. So if your mind is open up enough and you respect it and you respect yourself, regardless if you do wrong, it's still going to be perfection because it plays this role in the universe. You understand? I mean, I hate to say that I'm going too deep, but that's the only thing that comes out of me is accepting the role of who you are and be who you are. And that's the thing that I feel like and like Marvin was saying, we took on somebody else's role. We were playing somebody else's game. And we are brainwashed to the fact is now we're starting to unravel. Now we understand why it was so important for them to not let us read and how important it was killing us if we learn how to read, because if it set us back, it kept us long, Jose. So now I understand yes, how important it is now. Reading is so important that people need to understand. We take everything from everybody else's words. We take secondary regardless. We don't go to find out facts. And like you say, we don't do research. Research is YouTube. Research is Google. Research is, you know what I'm saying? Facebook. Nobody's really nobody's going out there to find out truth for themselves. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. My lab uses Google, bro. So I mean, hey.
Give it to me, Jerome.
Chad, man, you doing it to me. So okay. So perfection. Here's the thing. First of all, when Marvin was talking about the European mindset, the European mindset through religion has taught you there's only one perfect man, and that you would never be perfect. Whatever you strive for, whatever you do, there's never perfection in you. But the fallacy behind it is this, that perfect, people have the wrong concept of what perfect is. Perfect thing, they equate it to the greatest, right? Perfect is the greatest, but that's not. Those are two different things. Perfect only means finished. It's the only thing that it means. Perfect means that it's finished. Perfection is the process that you get to being finished. So the perfect man, yes, you can be the perfect man if you understand what the end is.
Give it to me,
That's
brother.
what Brian was talking about with knowing yourself. So understanding yourself, understanding the universe, you can get to a perfect man. You can get to a perfect relationship. You can get to a perfect community. You can get to a perfect life. But the process that you go through it is perfection. So when we talk about it, it's really understanding words. We get caught up in the semantics. See, when Brian was talking about reading, because I was talking with a brother just a couple of days ago about, slaves didn't get the opportunity to read. I said, but what you got to understand, slaves had their own language.
Yep.
Black people had their own language. Yep. They were only denied not reading English, is what they were denied. Because if you had a mastery of English, then you had a placement in society. So when we always throw that narrative about slaves not being able to read or black people not being, it was against the law to read, that was only English. We knew several languages. We knew several dialects, but we just wasn't allowed to speak in those dialects because through unity, words brings unity. But that's another subject. I'm gonna get back to perfection. So with perfection, like I said, perfection is the journey, brother. Being perfect is the end part.
Hey, and hey, that's peace, brother. Hey, if y'all don't mind, I would like to expound on it if y'all don't mind.
Go on in.
Rex, you made a perfect example too, as I would like to say, you know, of having a task at hand and completing that task. That's perfection, you know.
Right.
Jerome, like you clearly said, you know, perfection is a complete finish, and we are beings of perfection, and we should know and understand perfection so that we can better create it, you know, because with this perfection, then we're able to create better roles, you know, and just like the ancients used to say, you know, it was written because it was already designed of what someone was supposed to do, you know, and they had morals to live up to, they had values, and they had tasks to do that would create this perfection. So, I mean, a determined idea can last for generations, you know, and us being man, we should understand, you know, you have the symbolism of man, father time is the association, and as man, we've conquered time. As perfect man, we've conquered time, and we must know and understand the perfection of time and be able to create our perfections in time, you know. So it's very important for us to understand perfection, and a lot of people have this idea that, you know, we can't create perfection. This is the origin of it, and the ancients, I'm gonna take you through language. Okay, we know ancient Egypt was called Kemet, you know, and you have people who came to Egypt, the Greeks and stuff, they called it Egyptos, things like that. But Kemet meant black lands. And so the Kemet mystery was the origin of chemistry. Now, once the Arabic invasion came in and they started changing the language a little bit, if you put al in front of anything in Arabic, it means from Allah, God. So alchemy began the purification of man. And as the mystic system was passed throughout Europe and across the globe, you know, and this is reference to what Marvin was speaking about. Once they got this mystic system and this alchemy of man, a perfect man, they what they call the philosopher's stone in their search, you know, and this was the alchemy of creating a purified man of perfection.
Tut.
Yes, sir.
I'm not cutting you off. I got a question on what you're saying. So, what's an imperfect man?
An imperfect man. There is no imperfect, because a imperfection, you ever heard the saying perfect imperfection? It's a perfect imperfection. So let's say, for example, let's look at childbirth. We're gonna go from the root. You know, I go deep. We can go to the womb here. Okay, from blood clot, a child is created. They form. You know, the cell splits. The single cell individual splits. You know, is created. Comes out of the womb. It has a deformity. Let's say this child is born with 4 legs. You think that's imperfection?
Is that a real question? Or is that rhetorical?
Yeah.
Rhetorical or real question?
So you asked me what is the imperfection? So I'm giving an example of what some would consider an imperfection. So I'm asking, if a child is born with 4 legs, ask me what is that an imperfection?
In terms of, well, like what I said earlier, right? Do you remember what I was talking about earlier? Like, for instance, obviously something happened. There could have been, don't take, when I say mutations, don't take there's a negative, what's the word? Like,
Connotation.
Connotation.
right. And it's not supposed to be, but it's in there. But there's what we call mutations of the genes that make that happen. And it's because of physics is perfect. So there can be nothing wrong. It's just cause and effect. So in that context, right. But I'm trying to piece together, like from what Jerome was saying and from what you're saying, when y'all saying perfect, but it kind of seems sometimes y'all going, it seems like you're going into identification and then also objectivity. So subjectivity and objectivity. So I'm trying to, what way do you mean it? Because he said perfection is to be finished. So I can't understand how that fits into like how you and I is talking, right? And you say you already are, right? Now we're talking about building our mind ultimately, which is uncovering what already is, right? I mean, I'm asked, yeah, I ain't right. So if things already are what they are, right? And then we pretty much figuring out how things are, the only thing that's subjective is us. When you think about it, that's the only thing that's subjective is us. So there is an objective world, real world, and that's so everything. If everything is perfect, we have to align ourselves with that. Where we at? Like y'all follow me? I'm not saying, I'm not arguing with y'all. What I'm trying to say is from what I'm hearing y'all saying, I'm asking, do you feel like the way we seeing things are perfect, or are y'all saying the way that I know that things already are perfect, but in our
Are you talking about as a culture, or are you talking about as self?
Well, that's kind of what I'm asking Tut, because he went into Kemet, which is a people who were, they didn't know everything, right? They knew way more than we know now. It's a lost knowledge, right? Because it's just like, that's the thing about man. Like, I'm gonna finish it up because I do want Jerome and Tut to kind of help me out with that, with what y'all mean, because I know y'all know what y'all mean. I'm trying to understand what y'all mean, right?
True.
So these people were living and they were trying to understand the physical universe. They weren't saying like, this is how you should be. They were saying, well, this is to the best, without, like you said, without semantics. Don't try to argue semantics. I'm saying that cause and effect. The biggest, as easy as I can, the physical world, cause and effect, right? So this is why this happened. This is why this happened. Sometimes people start talking about subjectivity, like meaning how they view it, and they blend it in there. Am I getting you? So are y'all talking about the mind of man, which is subjective? That it doesn't always mean, like my man Rex was saying, it don't always mean that they right, but they believe it. That's how they see it. If I, you know what I'm saying? Because in the mind of man, perfection will change.
Right.
But in the world, it never changes.
I got
Just your perspective. So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Honestly, I respect everything you're saying, but I want to be able to follow you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I got to draw it up for you right here, son. Check it. I'm pretty sure I can account for Jerome too, you know, but I'm not going to make too much of an assumption. But I'm speaking about the creation of perfection, and as we speak about cause and effect, I think I should coin the term cause and effect check. If it ever gets famous, I coin this is my term. You have to do a cause and effect check, and in this cause and effect check, you're creating this perfection, I would say, you know. So this perfection to be manifest, this perfection takes from the mind, which is your thoughts, and it brings it into reality, which is completion of a task. So let's say, for example, I got the idea of creating a chair, you know. So the mind is subjective. I could fashion this chair to my own perspective, you know. But when I created this task is completed and I'm naming it, it's labeled as a chair. So for my thought, which is unseen, nobody can see this but me. Nobody has these thoughts but me. These thoughts come from perfection, you know. And I'm in the vehicle. I'm in the vehicle, which is my body, to bring this thought into reality in my form of perfection. And when I'm done with that task, the chair is complete. I perfectly made a chair. Now, this chair can be replicated because I've manifested this perfection of my thought of a chair. I manifested it. It can be duplicated, you know, because this task has been completed and I brought this thought into reality to where it is matter now. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the thought process, the manifestation of completion is understanding something. We live in nature. And like I said, of the ancients, through the chemistry, what they did was they were studying things. They were documenting. So they know when you did this, this is what happened. They document, they know when you did this, this is what happened. So they are documenting perfection. And through this understanding of perfection, man be able to grow and expand, you know, because this knowledge, like you said, we weren't tyrants. We shared this information, you know. So wherever we went, shit, I want you to be smart like me. We taught it, you know. I don't deal with no dummies. Yeah, we want to speak about Republican and Democrat Party. That's basically what they, that's reflected on that. Hey, but we're about getting smarter, getting better. So in creating this perfection, I went through this. And from this experience and my knowledge and my perfection being expanded here, your thought now is subjective from my perfection and where you can add on. You understand what I'm saying? And so, am I answering your question now, Marvin?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead and expound on that, Jerome.
Well, go ahead, Rome. You go first. But yeah, appreciate that, Tut.
Oh, okay. Now, what I was saying about perfection, mine was more on the science of it. Mine was more on the, as you say, cause and effect. When I say perfect, I mean that is the ending of whatever it is, whether it be man, whether it be thought, whether it be universal. Perfection is that journey. Now, do you ever reach perfection or that perfect point? I don't know. That's what's subjective. You know, who knows what a perfect man is? Anything that you have to interpret is subjective, you know, regardless of what it is. Because it's your interpretation through your eyes, through your experience, through your level of education. But when I was speaking on perfection, and perfect, I was speaking in a general sense, in a science sense, because, and I don't want to misinterpret what my thoughts or my subjective thoughts on what Tut was talking about with the 4 legs. But the way I see that's a matter of what's normal and what's abnormal, more so than what's perfect and what's imperfect.
But it's still perfect. It's a 4-legged baby. It's perfect.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's a matter of normal, abnormal. But when I was speaking on perfect, I'm talking about an instance of whatever whatever you're talking about, and the perfection is the journey to that end.
Right. Right.
That's what I was speaking on, Marvin. Go ahead.
Rex, what you got? What I want to hear what Rex, what you got there.
That's deep. I mean, you know, subjective, man. Hey, listen, a subjective mindset marred with negativity, man. You get what we see on a regular basis. Okay, and how do we? Our responsibility as a Black man. How do we prevent that? When do we prevent that? Is it genetically? I mean, I don't know if I fully believe that. Can we smooth that clay up at a young age, whereas when they get to that manifestation as an adult, the subjectivity of their mindset is no longer negative? Can they be a proponent of that? Or will we just let it go out in the world as an unfinished product and be where we see a lot of our youth or millennials or young adults or teens or what have you from that negative subjectivity? When, how, when, what, you know, can we create that culture? Can that culture be widespread?
True indeed. True indeed.
Okay. How do we get there? Because let's be clear, it's needed. It's needed today.
True indeed.
How do we get these adults that have had that narrow tunnel vision?
Hey, yo. Pardon me, I ain't mean to cut your wisdom there, Rex. Apologize. I ain't mean to cut your wisdom there, brother. But you asked how do we get there? Okay. Like I say, learning and understanding perfection, you know. So therefore, when we enter the realm of perfection and understanding it, we can then create it. But we definitely have to understand the path it takes to get to that perfection. You understand what I'm saying? So when we look at something in a whole, you know, and we want to complete a task, you know, we want to get something done, you know, you clearly have to set up, you know, what you want done, what it's going to take to get it done, and then when it is completed, you know, what's next, you know, and we're plotting out these steps, and so they're calculated steps, And like I said, anything from the language barrier, I'm not gonna break off the point here, but from the language barrier, like I said, the chemistry word, chemistry, once they added al into the Arabic, adding to chemistry, that meant Allah's chemistry or God's chemistry, to where it was alchemy and it was purifying man. So these things were done to understand what a perfect man did, and a perfect man was created, an upright man, who had civilization, who passed his civilization. This knowledge was known, and the path to this perfection, it is known also, because we have to learn to understand numbers. Mathematics is the language of God, and we have to understand mathematics. We have to understand how numbers are in correlation to our steps. That's where you get the term algebra from, or your term algebra. It comes from calculations, to where our steps are calculated, and we're creating this perfection in our steps. Those incremental steps, I think a brother alluded to earlier, it don't just happen overnight. The old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. We take these incremental steps from our calculated plan towards our objective of perfection. We take these calculated steps. This is the algebra. This is the landscape of it. We go this path, and we create this perfection. And, like I say, understanding the sciences and the mathematics of it, we have to understand the language of God. And that's where you get your term algorithm from, because algorithm is a mathematical set of Rex, you're with IT. I'm not an IT person, but you have an algorithm. You can further explain the algorithm better than me, but it is a mathematical structure to what? Complete a task.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Yeah.
All right, wait a minute, because I don't know, dude, we went here with all this, be trying to go so deep, man. Come on, Tut, man.
real talk.
But I understand what he's saying, but it also goes to the person's point of view and the way, and that's the thing about it, is we are born perfect. It just, out of somebody else's point of view, that makes it seem like it's imperfect. Or how do I, you can say, yeah, it's perfect. I can say it's imperfect. But at the same time, if we are connected, mentally and, spiritually, everything is perfect.
Right.
It just, the fact is, we have to start looking at things like that and start looking at things in a negative perspective. Right. But that's something that's been grown into us. That's the culture of America.
Yeah.
Every damn thing is negative.
Right. And respect someone's opinion, even if it's their opinion. Right. It could be right, wrong. You can agree or disagree with it. It's not going to change the way it's authentic to them. Right. And trying to change their mind, man, you will expend so much energy, man, to where you forgot why the hell you tried to change their mind. My forte is I'm a coach, basketball coach, and I tell when I speak in front of people, all ethnicities, all different types of professions. Some are wealthy, some are destitute, you name it. I tell them the ideal age to get a kid is when they're between 10 and 11. Okay, right. Because I've gotten them, and our saying, we came up with a quote. We says, teach what you know and know what you teach.
Right.
Okay, and we've had hundreds and hundreds upon hundreds of 10, 11-year-olds. And they're out in the world now. Some of them are married with kids. Some of them are single and on their own and doing very well. And it wasn't easy because some of those kids had single family homes. Some of them had dual parent homes. Some of them had an absent parent that had to work 80 hours a week, whereas our role magnified daily with each kid. And because we had a foundation and we all perfected that foundation, you can go to 8 or 9 different coaches, you get the same perspective. That kid would get the same answer. And we sent them out into the world, man. And that's what I know worked for me, my experience. I can't say what someone else's experience.
Hey, that's peace, Rex, because that is universal. And you made a very valid point of grabbing the youth. We're going to speak of men preferably here, because we're speaking of the black man's role. We're going to speak of men preferably, and grabbing them at that age, like you said, 10 to 12 years old. That is perfect timing, because we know and understand child, first 7 years of their animal instinct years, so they're learning right and wrong, naturally, and we know what's right and wrong, naturally. And once you get through your 7 years, you begin to observe doing right or wrong, learning that right and wrong even further. So as I think the Bible makes a clear quote here too, you can't put new wine in old wine skins. And that's in reference to the mind as it grows. And a young man begins to form his individuality, 14, 15, 16 years old. That's why the youth, you can't tell them nothing, because they done crystallized them versions of themselves. And so like Rex, you made a very valid point. Catching these youth at this time, that's the group that I'm working with now. That is very vital, because we can catch them at this time and put the wine into the wine skins, because as a youth, what you learn in your youth ages, and you repeat this and you create this intelligence from this memory, it becomes second nature when you get older. So we can get it into these guys at this right time. Perfection. They can go on in life of creating this perfection, manifesting these ideas, working with each other, because a group of people can make a greater output. Caesar said it in the Ape movie. One monkey, he gonna break, but if you get a group of these monkeys, what?
I'm telling you, you can't. I get asked to coach year in and year out. My first question to them is, how old are the kids? When they say 16, man, you'd have thought somebody was shooting at me. I'm out. You can't pay me enough to coach a 16-year-old team. They know everything.
Right.
You can't pay me. Let me, how can I help you when you think you know what I know you don't know? Okay. How are you? And a simple thing. Show me how to enter a pass into the post. And they are wrong instantly. Bam. As soon as they get in position, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Simple. And it's simple. Hit the corner of the backboard. That's where you want to pass that ball. When he's splitting that block, you pass to the corner of that backboard.
Up high.
Now, Jerome,
Yes, sir.
welcome back.
I appreciate it.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Because you left after you kind of gave your answer, I guess, to what I was saying.
Right.
Hold on. Dennis, did you want to say something first? You ain't speaking in a minute.
Now, y'all go ahead. I'm listening. I'm just taking it all in right now.
Okay.
So
So let's say
he's saying we too deep for him right now.
Nah, Dennis. You ain't saying that, Dennis.
No,
Let's say-
what I'm saying. Well, let me say this. I can understand where Rex is talking about coaching kids, because I coach football, and I've been coaching football for a long time. So right now I'm coaching high school football, and like when they get to a certain age, like you just said, they think they know everything. But once you start like 11, 10, 11, 12, that's grooming them, coming up. So
I'm right, please.
yeah, you grooming them to be, take on that responsibility and the roles of being in charge and working as a team. So that plays a role in being,
Because you don't buy it, I won't buy it.
being the man in America.
Well, pour a little bit more.
What's up, Mark?
Because I'm going to be. I'm sorry, fellas. Hold on, I'm talking to my wife. Y'all keep going.
Go ahead, Jerome.
I know y'all keep.
I'll expound. I'll expound on on the reasoning behind that. It's not that I don't want to mentor them. I will mentor them all day long. Right. But when it comes to trying to teach them, say, hey man, first one on the floor will be the first one to get that ball. And see, they're too pretty to want to get on the floor.
Right.
Okay. And trying to teach them that is almost an insurmountable task. So I would rather mentor, and mentoring and coaching is a fine line between it, but I'd rather mentor them off the floor.
Right.
Okay, than to coach them on the floor. Okay.
Right.
My ideal age is 10 to 12. I get them there, and you can still wrestle them up and everything, because that's love. You're showing them love, man. You're doing what their uncles or their pops may do, hugging them and all of that stuff, man. And then they say, I know when I see Coach Rex, he's gonna squeeze. Hell out of me, we're gonna have a good time.
Right.
I mean, and when I'll go back to what I said earlier. When, how do we get to these young Black American kids, man, that are going to be adults one day, that are going to be parents one day, that are going to be politicians one day, that are going to be some other type of leader? When do we get them? How do we get them? Not when, how?
Right.
Doesn't have to be sports. It could be, it could be one of the sciences.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Marvin.
I wanted to, but dang, man, Rex just asked a good question, so I didn't. Maybe I'll write it down when he said.
Right.
Rome asked something different. Rome, what did you say earlier?
All right, so who got the thing going on?
That's an Amber Alert.
Yeah.
Sound like Tuck, man. Tuck, where you at, baby? Where you at, baby?
Well,
would you
what's
ask,
your question, bro? Yeah, what's your question?
No, prior to what Rex had said, Yeah, ask me. Oh, I was going to ask you a question. Right.
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
let's say this kind of gets us sort of back on topic. So if
All right.
what would be a role of a father if he has a family of 5, a wife and 4 kids,
Right.
in the Arctic, and they have no shelter? What would be his role?
So you saying if the father was homeless,
Mm-hmm.
the family is home. I mean, his role shouldn't change. What he can provide, because a lot of men qualify themselves on what they can provide for their families. But there's levels to that. I don't think his role changes in any form as far as leadership, mentorship, and what he provides from the mental aspect of it. Physically, environments change, things change physically, but his mental impact is what the children take on, for the rest of their lives. It's never just physically, what happens to a child, because even what happens to you physically affects you in the mental.
So his role, right?
Right.
I agree with everything you're saying so far, right?
Right.
So his role, by the way, it's not a test. I know it seems like I'm kind of like, you know what I mean?
No, you good.
Yeah.
Good.
But his role would be, or no, because of his role, right?
Right.
His objectives of the task that he performs would be what? They're in the Arctic without shelter.
Right.
So the point I'm gonna get to the point. Can you hear it? Because you like frozen.
No, you good. I'm texting. Go ahead.
Oh. So
You good. Go ahead.
because we were talking about the role of man. We all pretty much agreed on the role. So ultimately we're talking about, what he has to do in that role. What he has to do. And the reason why I use the Arctic is because he wouldn't be up against any social problems. It
Right.
would be environmental, right?
Exactly.
So now take those same principles. You bring that here. Like, all right, actually, before I even go there, he might beef with his wife sometimes. He might have quarrels with his kids. That's social, right?
Right.
But as far as his physical needs, physical requirements, and all of that, he knows what he has to do. We're in a situation where, you're learning from men who are subjective, and it's okay when you understand they're subjective. But when you're not learning from life, you don't learn. Your mind does not become objective. Like, meaning you don't realize that you're a part of life. You keep bending life to how you see it. You don't realize that you see things how you see it. You have to be able to understand that. Like, I'll give you an example of somebody, and this is it's an extreme example, so you'll be able to get it. Like if someone spoke Spanish,
Right.
versus a person who speaks English, they might be talking about this color. We talking about the same color. We call it two different things, but ultimately we talking about this color. So if we don't understand that the subjectivity to it, then we're all talking about doing the same thing. Right. But now we have an added problem. We have social problems on top of the actual environmental problems. So you got things that you have to satisfy physically, and then you also have things where you're dealing with people where you can't even, like you say, semantics is coming into play, and people are not understanding where they're at. And then they also think, like, if you go in the hood, like man Rex say, let's say you go in the hood and you got a kid, he think that is life. He thinks the way that he experienced life is life. He doesn't. So when you come, right, hypothetically, it's like if I said, let's say there was no technology for TV, and I said, I talked about maybe like Obama or something, and it'd be like them saying he don't exist because I never saw it. This is basically, I'm telling you, it's the problem that we're having. I mean, they trickle from, we don't have an objective mind. So math, the reason why a lot of people aren't good at math is math objective. There's no subjectivity to math. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. To actual life, there's no the subjectivity comes from us. Right. Our understanding and our ability to understand. But actual subjectivity doesn't exist. It only exists in our minds. We have to understand that.
Come on, baby. Come on,
because
baby.
the more you understand that, like Rex said, when Tut was talking about perfection and all that,
right?
That would mean, like, let's say you built something and you said you finished, and you say that's perfection. All right, I sit on it. If it's a chair and it's not sturdy, it doesn't serve its purpose. I don't give a damn if it's finished or not. Okay. Right. So it has to serve its purpose, right? So that means if it's finished and it's flawed, how can it be perfect? The perfection that to me, when I'm hearing him, I'm trying to get the brother, but I wish he was here to defend himself. But
right.
That to me is like somebody saying, "This is my opinion. I like this." But at the end of the day, just because you made it, don't mean it's not flawed objectively. Meaning serve it its purpose. Unless let me finish. Unless its purpose was to serve your ego in the first place. Because that's what people do. They use their logic to serve their ego. And then they create life in their image. They don't want to share the world with Rex. They don't want to share it with you, Dennis. They don't want to share it with you, Brian. They don't want to say, oh, you know what? My man like the Giants. He from wherever. Rome is from here. Oh, wow. He got that perspective. Like, dig. Like you read a book, you listen to somebody. The reason, the great thing about a book is that it allows for your imagination to join with it. If you watch a movie, there's no allowance for you can't join it. You can't make yourself within it. Your imagination. You understand what I'm saying? Because these are just words, so there's no imagery. But when you read it, you create imagery. So when you read a book, that's the importance actually of a book. I don't know if y'all know that, but that's the actual part of a book. You are creating with the reader, and great authors actually they actually know that. They know that, so they leave wiggle room in there for your imagination to build on top of that, because that's a part of being a human being. When you start realizing who you are, you know, the mind gives you the ability to have a personal, unique experience in life. So it's not a negative thing. It only becomes negative when you want everybody else to see it your way, and the way that you see it isn't necessarily objective way. So that's like me saying to you, 2 + 4, no, that ain't 6. That ain't 6. You know what I'm saying? And you be like, what? I don't see it that way. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even know what you're talking, because you're not talking about any criteria that you and I can build upon. You're saying that I have to accept your views. You're not saying like we have to find out what something objective is. I have to accept your views. Does that, you know what I'm saying? And that's, to me, I see it all the time. Like, it's a common thread that I think, if you ask me, and I know I'm getting long-winded, and I apologize for that, but if you ask me, I think one of the problems, and not saying it shouldn't have happened, it's because if a man is very malleable, right? The mind is very malleable, and if you're born into the wilderness, you'll kind of like because we're a part of the environment. You are a part of the environment. You know what I'm saying? Man is a being immersed in an environment. So you're responding, not just mentally. I'm talking about you're literally responding. So you're going to be formed from that. But what happens is when you live in a society where you don't have to learn like physically how to do stuff. When you learn how to do stuff, I'm not talking about this is how, like, in this world, black people are perceived this way. This is subjectivity. Okay. So in America, you have to realize how you're perceived, like Rex said, and I'm going to carry myself like this because I have a social responsibility to humanity that I'm going to help other individuals that look like me by behaving in such manner. You understand that sheds a positive example, right? So we're talking about this, Rex. This not you. We're talking about silly shit. Because you have people so ignorant that they actually think that because Jerome and I are the same color that we supposed to think in everything the same. If a person thinks like that, how you supposed to fuck with that person? How can I talk to you and you think that you can build me in your mind just from looking at me?
Right.
So and the only reason that they think that is because our society preaches so much subjectivity and opinion. It's not even funny. If you lived out in the wilderness, you'd be too busy looking for food, water, shelter, and things like that. Because you would be like, I don't even, what you talking about don't even matter. Because I got to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. You have to learn how to do things right. Everything was precise. You had to, because your life was dependent upon it. So you had to be objective. Feelings, you would be like, what do you mean what you feel? Like, do you want to survive or not? So that teaches you objectivity. But when you live in a world, like, remember Martin Luther King, that's why he later retracted. He retracted a lot of the statements in terms of basically bring integration. Thank you. Because what happened after that? And I know all y'all know. But prior to that, African Americans, they were the ones that they had all the skills. But when you get into a city, in a concrete jungle. You're subject to what the government hands you now. You don't know how to do anything now. And then what do they say? You got to conform to get this. Now y'all all gonna have to be Toby. Y'all all gotta be this for me to give you something because you can't do it yourself now.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is the role of a black man in America, that's a motherfucking question for your ass.
No, but I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's the last words that you said in America. You talking about in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Difference, because we're part of a corporation right now. And that's the reason why we are subjected to the corporation. It's like we're on a job.
Right.
You get fired or you get hired. And that's the thing about it. And I mean, you're making a strong point. But at the same time, we need to start building each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where it needs to come, because everybody's in the selfish mode. I got to get this money. I got to get this money. I got to get this. I got to get this. Versus, how about we build and how about we do this and watch what happens together as a group. You know, every other community comes together and they build and they take over and they build and they take over and everybody eats. When it comes to us, no, nobody eats. I got to eat. I don't give a damn about you right now because we're always in survival mode. It's like our humanity got taken away from us and we don't know who we are. And I think that's the lost purpose of what we are. We don't know who the hell we are because that's what we fighting. We fighting just to be a part of their society, be a part of their frat or their, you know what I'm saying? To be part of their club. And that's something that we need to get away from. We need to be who we are and stop trying to appease them because we lose ourselves trying to be what they are. That's why you have to know yourself, because once you know who you are, you don't worry about what their thought process or what their input is into you because you know who you are. The only problem is we're lost and we don't know who we are, so we letting other people put their input in us, making us something that we're not. And I'm about down after that.
All right, I'm gonna jump in. I don't
Marvin done started something, man.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Hello?
It was really good. I'm not gonna get back into the perfect or the perfection thing. I think we can lose a lot just in the content of it. But I will say, I do want to touch on what he was talking about with life, right? There's no such thing as life. One thing, life. Because our life is our perception. It's how we view it, what we take in, how we process it. That's our life, right? So what did they do to us? They controlled our environment as far as where you can live, what money you can make, who you can be around, how they police you, how they legislate you. And so when they control the environment around you, your perception of who you are, the perception of who you're with, the perception of where you're going has been changed and manipulated. And that's why when you talk about we don't know who we are, it's because our perception of who we are has been given to us. And we accept this perception of who we are. And that's why we live accordingly to that perception. Now, some of us have raised our frequency enough to understand that that's the matrix, and that you know our how we perceive things, how we see things is an illusion. and that, you know, it's been fed to us. And so we speak differently. We talk differently. We resonate differently. And that's what we're seeing. And that's what I'm hoping Marvin's getting to, is when he talked about subjectivity. Of course, it's all in your mind. Everything is in your mind. You don't perceive anything except but in your mind. The only way that you can perceive a God would be in your mind. You know, it's not an outward thing. It's always an inward thing. Everything's about perception, and that's why they control your perception.
Let me ask you on that one. So
Yeah.
let's say I'm deaf,
Right.
and Dennis is playing Tupac, and I can't hear it. I can't perceive it. Is Dennis not playing Tupac?
Well, you say you can't perceive it, but you see him visibly, right? You see how he acts when what is on is happening. So you know you have a perception of something's going on.
Now, let's say I can't see it. Let's say I can't hear or see him. Is he playing Tupac?
No, in your mind? In your mind, he's not.
That's called subjectivity. What I'm saying is, if I say, let's say Dennis is dumping all eyes on me, and I can't hear it or see it, that don't mean he ain't dumping it. It means I can't perceive it. There's a difference between you perceiving something and something that's being expressed or omitted. And you have to have the tools to be able to do it, to perceive it. But your perception could change. Like if you was born, like there are kids that are born, right? They're what we would call Asian, right? Genetically. But
Right.
they've been adopted by European, basically like how we are, right? They don't speak Chinese. They don't know nothing about their culture. They didn't get that information. So
yeah.
So
not
what
to
I'm
cut you off, not to cut you off, but language is not inherent.
no, but my point is, but I didn't say it was, and I wasn't insisting what it was. What I mean is, life, if you say life is perception, like that's what life is. That would mean if you can't perceive it, then life don't exist. That's you simultaneously saying that. You're saying what I don't perceive don't exist.
But you have to perceive. Even Helen Keller perceived life. You know, being deaf, dumb, blind, you know, she still could perceive life because she had some sense. She had touch.
All right. Now check this out. Is Tupac? Well, people believe Tupac alive. Martin Luther King did. He ain't perceiving shit as Martin Luther King. Is life over? Are we alive?
For him?
Right. For him, it's over, right?
Ooh,
I mean,
can I jump in on this?
If you believe energy cannot be destroyed, then he's just on another plane, right?
Right. And if he's on that other plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If you don't have the tools to perceive, does life stop? You think about I want you to think about what you're saying. You're insinuating that life is totally subject to your perception. When we got you have examples where you could say a person may not have the sense of touch. You know, there are people, they call them like they can't hear, they can't see, they're like potatoes, whatever. They're still alive. They just can't perceive anything. If you get amnesia, right, your heart still beats, your mind, you're cognitive, but you have no recollection of the things that your brain has stored before.
Yeah, but you're still taking in information, even though I may not have a cognitive memory of anything. I'm still taking in information.
Right. So when now listen, you're saying they're taking in information, but what I'm saying is, what is it that they're taking in? So if Dennis is playing Tupac, I'm not playing Tupac. Oh, think about it.
Okay.
He's playing Tupac. I'm not playing it. There's another being emitting something. My perception is my ability to experience life. It isn't life itself. That's what I'm trying to say. Life is a phenomenon within itself. Our ability to experience it, that's different.
But from the beginning of what I said that's life is the word that we mistranslate. You know, that's what I started with. You know, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because you had said, but I don't want to, if I was wrong, because you had said perception is life.
No, I said people, your perception, that's your life.
Oh,
How you
my bad.
Yeah.
My bad then. Yeah. My bad. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I said there's no one general life. That's not.
You going
that's what I was saying. Yeah. But it's cool. I mean, I liked everything you was talking about.
I actually perceive that as if once you die, I feel like you're on to the next chapter. You're part of the universe again until your time is to come back again. So
right.
I mean, I'm being honest. That's just the way I think. I think that's why I think everybody needs to get out of this fear of dying, because you're thinking it's like a video game. The game ain't over. You know how many? I mean, anytime you play a video game, once you die, you turn around, you start over to the next level, or you know what I'm saying? Or unless you're out of the lives. But at the same time, I feel like it's a journey, and these are lessons that we need to learn. It just happens to be whatever the universe is calling for is what it is. I feel like we have control, but at the same time, I feel like that's where we need to get a level of understanding and understanding what our purpose is here. And it's one of those conversations that can get crazy, because you'll be like, well, what about little kids that dies? And you'll be like, what was their purpose? And it's like, their purpose might have been to awareness to somebody else. Like this guy that, down in Georgia, the one that got shot by these two guys. It's his life, and now all of a sudden his purpose, he died fighting. And now everybody else got this sense of purpose to be something and stand up. So we look at death in a bad way, but we need to start looking at death as their purpose is served. And we need to understand that. So I know I don't know, but we went somewhere, man. We everywhere today, aren't we? You know what I'm saying?
I think what it means to be a man, like I don't even go that deep. This is definitely just subjective, and this is also this is not a conclusion. Like it's not a belief. I'm constantly like learning more stuff, and I'm sure like Jerome and Rex and Dennis, like I'm sure y'all the same. Like what I think it changes. I don't have a fixed like. I really don't have like a fixed
You're evolving.
Right.
You're evolving.
You're not steadfast in this one particular thought, and